Those who share this hopeful landscape have come to understand that our lives are not separate from the land. No, our lives are not separate from this land.
The way the house is designed and the way the house is oriented, we get both passive solar gain and a lot of natural lighting that allows us to live on a very tight energy budget.
Today in the woods we harvested a tree to demonstrate the types of things we do on campus and off campus on our forest.
It's important that the students get out on the landscape, work the land.
And from there, it's generally up to them to come up with, designs, creations.
As it goes for like Tapwood from the maple and birch industries for making the birch and maple syrup, using that as a value-added product to create furniture that was once useless or worthless and creating it into something that people sought after.
So you're talking about after a maple tree has been tapped for generations, it has a series of holes and scars and all the rest that when sawn into bar tops or lumber has a really beautiful pattern, right? And a good reminder of that connection to the land, right? And nothing better than eating your flapjacks on a table that has a bunch of tapholes in it, right?
So we have a very efficient model at Paul Smith College with how we utilize our wood. We're able to take our wood from campus and around campus and mill it within house. We don't have to ship our wood anywhere. It all comes within our community, stays within our community for the most part. And that's an important aspect of a working landscape. We're not outsourcing anything. It's all staying within the community.
But the big difference between our ownership and other commercial ownerships or state ownerships is that because this is Paul Smith's, a forestry educational school, we want to involve the students as much as we can. When you own land, many rights come with the land. You have the right to develop it, you have the right to cut the timber. The State Department of Environmental Conservation is very interested in not developing land and providing land for recreation and so forth. The public has access to it, very much like they have access to the library here on campus, they have access to our land as well. And yet it's not going to be developed. It's here as forest land forever.
So the wood that we mill contributes to working landscape model. We're able to sell it to the local community, use it around the campus and the wood shop.
When the students really get involved with doing their forest measurements, understanding what the trees will yield from a standing timber aspect, and then in the forest products and production class, they bring down those trees, they harvest them, and then are either milled on site with our wood miser or brought to the sawmill, and then prepared there and milled into boards. And then they generally end up over here, which is, the second to last stop before they become either a table or a bench or a cutting board.
So I think one of the things we've learned in this project is that a working landscape doesn't just happen on its own, right? We've seen artisans at work taking what would normally be pushed over the banks after a logging job and turned into bowls, and also beautiful houses like the one we're in today.
Well, the house is primarily designed for passive solar heat. We have 3,200 watts of solar panels, and that provides the majority of our power. And we also have a 1 kilowatt wind turbine, and that really complements the solar. My goal had always been to build a sustainable, energy efficient home. And we were able to achieve that here by doing cordwood construction. Our walls are 26 inches thick, so we can heat this house on 2 cord of wood per year.
In an effort to reduce our use of propane, we heat our hot water, we cook with it. A little oven on the top. Right now it's about 175 degrees. We use that like our slow cooker because we're off grid. So we just make a meal in the Dutch oven and put that up there.
Typically when a house is built and then you put an asphalt shingle roof on it, what happens is you're taking all that square footage right out of the biosphere and you're just creating this desert space. So what we did was we had to excavate, build our house, but then by adding this layer of earth on top of it and bringing it back to life, we returned this square footage back to the biosphere, making our house a part of the living and breathing environment.
So a working landscape is using the resources that you have. So here in the Adirondacks, we have a lot of white pine, cedar, birch, and we're using that to create value-added products that might not have been used before. For example, the legs of this table, they're limbs of trees that were felled, and we now use them to make a beautiful table.
No, our lives are not separate from this land.